Do you think the Cowboys jinxed the organization signing Dak to the huge deal? It seems like it's been downhill ever since, injury-wise and how we play. Look, I don't know about jinxing the organization, Wallace Jones, but I do know it was a devastatingly bad idea to make Dak Prescott the highest paid player in pro football history. And you know who agrees? The NFL's best receiver, CeeDee Lamb. What did CeeDee's mom post right after that Green Bay playoff disaster last year? She posted, Dak isn't it. Very simple, very direct, very to the point. Dak isn't it. Think she just came up with that on her own out of the blue? No, you can bet she'd heard her son say exactly the same thing in those words. And trust me, Dak heard all about what CeeDee's mom posted, probably from his relatives. Remember what happened on the Cowboys' first third down of that game against Green Bay? Dak and CeeDee failed to connect. And as they left the field, Dak said something to CeeDee that CeeDee did not like. CeeDee responded. And when CeeDee went to the very end of the bench and sat by himself, Mike McCarthy, for the first time I can ever remember, left his usual sideline post and walked all the way back to the end of the bench and tried to talk CeeDee just back into the game. The next day, Michael Irvin said something to me that was very interesting. Michael said that no matter how hard Troy Aikman got on him, he just took it and never fired back, never tried to defend himself because Troy was the quarterback who could choose to throw it to Michael or not throw it to Michael. So even though CeeDee is the latest to wear the hallowed number 88, Michael Irvin, the greatest 88, did not like it that CeeDee had returned fire at Dak, then made a show of going to the end of the bench and brooding about it. Michael definitely defended Dak and blamed CeeDee. I thought about that on Sunday night when CeeDee let Dak have it on the sideline for the interception Dak had thrown in CeeDee's direction. This, of course, was caught on the Sunday Night Football camera. And lip readers translated what CeeDee said to Dak as subpar throw. Subpar tonight is what CeeDee appeared to be saying to Dak Prescott. Dak appeared to just ignore what CeeDee was saying, did not respond that I could see. But frankly, subpar was putting it nicely. It was an inexplicably bad throw that had come on top of the fumble Dak had lost as he got front side sacked, not blindsided, front sided. Dak could see it coming and he still couldn't protect the football. So 2 red zone turnovers had potentially cost the Cowboys 14 points already at that point in the game. So that's why I was so torn, so conflicted over what CeeDee said to Dak. CeeDee was so right, and yet, to Michael Irvin's point, so wrong. I wish I could somehow pour CeeDee's clutch fire into Dak. But unfortunately, Dak plays the position, quarterback, while CeeDee plays the dependent position of receiver. So Dak just outranks him. No, CeeDee, Dak ain't it. But we're stuck with him, so we have to make the best of it. You cannot disrespect him. You cannot publicly undermine his leadership, his authority, his very position by showing him up in front of the cameras on the sideline during Sunday Night Football. That is potentially lethal to a team that already has enough problems. Man, I can only imagine what CeeDee thought when Dak then forced up a throw to Jaylen Tolbert that was intercepted. That was turnover number 3 against a team the Cowboys should have beaten by 3 touchdowns. To Jaylen Tolbert? So from day one, I've struggled to love Jaylen Tolbert, 3rd-round pick out of South Alabama. First thing he said to the Dallas media after he got drafted was that he looked forward to changing the culture in Dallas. What? Talk about audacity that he couldn't back up, hasn't backed up. Jaylen Tolbert ran 4.5 at the combine, and I haven't seen a whole lot of quickness or speed or rare athletic ability or gymnastic ability. I just haven't seen anything special about Jaylen Tolbert, who has so far appeared to be vintage Bill Parcells JAG, just another guy. Then from the Sunday night broadcasters, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, I began to hear this new theme of how much Dak loves Jaylen Tolbert. He does? I hadn't heard that before. That had to come from Dak's sit down with said broadcasters before the game. I'm assuming Dak had raved about how hard Jaylen Tolbert had worked with Dak through the offseason. Did that mean CeeDee, who missed training camp, of course, holding out, hadn't put in all that much offseason work with Dak? I don't know. But you know and I know that CeeDee's mom was listening and reported back to CeeDee that it sure sounded like Dak had a new favorite receiver, especially because Brandon Cooks is now out. I'd also read that Tolbert considers Dak like a big brother, quote unquote. And it sure started to feel Sunday night like Big Brother was making sure he threw it to Little Brother a lot. Jaylen Tolbert wound up with 10 targets on Sunday night at Pittsburgh to CeeDee's 9. And in the second half, after CeeDee had gone subpar on Dak on the sideline, CeeDee caught one ball for 9 yards. On the game's final 2 plays, when I thought Dak had to go to CeeDee, had to give him a chance in the end zone, Dak twice went to Jaylen Tolbert. The first time, Tolbert looked like he could be open along the back line of the end zone, yet Dak fired low into the grass, and it looked like Tolbert pulled something trying to go down and get it. For a moment, it looked like Tolbert was coming out of the game, but he stayed in, and on the game's final do-or-die play, Tolbert ran all the way down the goal line from far right to far left, and Dak threw him a perfect ball versus tight coverage, and little brother hung on to it for the game-winning touchdown. If that throw had failed, we would have heard a whole lot from CeeDee after the game, a justifiable tirade. Instead, we heard nothing because Dak and Jaylen Tolbert had won the football game. Now, maybe you think I'm making way too much of this, but trust me, I'm not. This is an edge of cliff situation, potentially a Josh Allen versus Stephon Diggs, only there had better be no way the Cowboys are going to get rid of CeeDee, not after he signed a new deal that's very close to Justin Jefferson's top wide receiver deal. I thought CeeDee actually deserved more than Justin Jefferson. So this situation could fester into Dak forcing more and more throws to Jaylen Tolbert, pressing, misfiring when he does decide to throw in CeeDee's direction. And obviously this conflict could descend into CeeDee starting to sulk and run half-hearted routes. Looming are the Detroit Lions. At home Sunday, Lions 3-point favorites. Then it's at San Francisco, at Atlanta, Philadelphia, Houston, and at Washington. So if I'm Jerry Jones, I get involved right now. I try to get Dak and CeeDee to sit down for some kind of session mediated by Jerry Jones and see if these two can make some kind of peace and begin to function like the dynamic duo that Belichick compared to Montana and Rice just before the season started. Jerry Rice's mom never said Joe isn't it, and I'm pretty sure Jerry Rice never told Montana that was a subpar throw. I'm pretty sure that never happened. So now for the silver lining irony is that 1 year ago right now, after the Cowboys had gotten humiliated at San Francisco, who can forget 42-10, CeeDee complained about getting only 5 passes thrown to him, and Dak or Jerry or somebody listened. That's when CeeDee took off and became the NFL's most productive receiver. Next 4 games after that debacle in San Francisco for CeeDee last year, CeeDee caught 7 for 117, 12 for 158, 11 for 191, and 11 for 151. Man, oh man. But I am so torn because I believe CeeDee sees this exactly the way I do. Dak is not it. Dak is 2-5 in the postseason because Dak is way too often subpar. I am so with you, CeeDee Lamb, but we also share this, my man. We are both stuck with Dak, so we have to make the best of Dak. You have to grin and bear it. You have to bite your tongue, especially on the sideline. You have to just keep running your routes all out and hope Dak Prescott can get you the football.